давай записывать, да, наверное. Okay, dear colleagues, let's start our meeting. And today we have a very interesting presentation of Chжan Vэньжуй. Vэньжuй, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sure.
Yep.
Okay, dear professors and dear colleagues, today I will present my research work, the impact of the COVID-19 on income of the vulnerable group, and under the supervision of the Professor Iliana Cadeno. There is no doubt that the COVID-19 is a catastrophe for humans. It has claimed millions of the lives and impacted the global economics. And actually, of course, it will also have an impact on the labor market because recessions caused by COVID-19 would lead to a surplus of the labor, which would likely lower real wages. But on the other hand, COVID-19 has caused a lot of member of the deaths in the labor force. So actually, it may lead to the labor shortage in the long run, will cause the real wage to rise. So actually, as a result, the impact of the COVID-19 on income can be ambiguous, with some their incomes rising and the other falling. But more importantly, the huge impact of the COVID-19 on the labor marketers may be heterogeneous. For different groups, there are many studies suggesting that the vulnerable groups should be given attention. So the studies will focus on the heterogeneous impactors of the COVID-19 on the income of the vulnerable groups in Russia, and the heterogeneous impactors are the focus of these studies. So actually, this will include too many things. Is, for example, the heterogeneities in vulnerable groups and occupations, regional differences, and the income distributions. And this research is also meaningful because it will help the government enact more effective policies. But the first things, we should identify the vulnerable groups by literature review. Actually, it includes both theoretical and empirical research. The first study is the private sectors. Of course, the people working in the public sectors are less affected by COVID-19 than private sectors because their job positions and the salary levels are limited by law, regulations, and budgeters, or strongly protected by the trade unions. So actually, if you work in the public sectors, maybe their incomes basically don't change. And the Russian government didn't announce a salary cut for those in the public sectors during the COVID-19, but this move was announced in China. Nevertheless, during the impacted impacted the structures measures in Hubei province and the other areas of the China in the earlier 2020. Although the governmenters announced the cut the salaries who in the public sectors, but people working in the public sectors experienced less loss in income than others. So, of course, the private sectors is the vulnerable group, and the second is the females, because actually we know there are some industrial sectors have been several infected by COVID-19, such as the service industrials. But we should notice that in these industrials has a higher proportions of the females workers, and actually in addition, due to the multiply roles conflicts. The women may be forced to reduce their working hours to take on more family responsibilities. For example, they must babysit other things. And so actually, the empirical research say the women are 24% more likely than male to be permanently unemployed due to the COVID-19, and the women also expected their labor incomes will be declined by 5% more than the men do. Although I think this is the very extremist values, but it can say the female is the vulnerable group, and the third is the low education, because if you only have the low level of education, maybe you have the more likely engaged in the elementary occupations, and you have fewer opportunity to work remotely. So actually, you will have the less access to get the unions or the legal protectors. So actually, there also have the empirical research said that people who are more educated are less likely to lose income to COVID-19, and the average wage income of the workers with high education fell in by 26% during the COVID-19 in South Africa. But if you only have the lower level of education, maybe you will experience the income decline more than 40%. So we can know the low education is also a variable group. And the fourth is the parents. And of course, the COVID-19 is making the parents harder for balance the worker and the children class. Why? Because the parents must spend more time to care their children, because maybe they're worried about their children being affected. Actually, some the school also closed during the COVID-19, and the second, the parents must to go to work, and because the cost of the children cares is covered by their working incomes, stopping or reducing working will directly lead a shock drop in family incomes, and actually so the parents must do the trade-off. So the parents is also a variable group, and they also have the empirical research said that actually the incomes of the income condition of the parents was significantly negative affected by COVID-19. So they must have the result to higher frequently borrowing and their household transfer to get through the financial difficulties. What is the household transfers? Maybe the transfer from other, for example, the uncles or the grandparents or other things. This is household transfer. So actually, we will find the parents, if they don't have any other help, maybe they then will become the vulnerable group because of the COVID-19. And the last two is the older adult, because older adult has a higher probabilities of the being infected. So actually it will increase the healthy care expenditures and will reduce their job opportunities. Why? Because maybe some employees don't want let them to work because of them we are worried about them the healthy conditions. So then we'll have the less opportunity to get the job. But we all must focus on other things. Is the actually most of the older adults maybe can get their social securities, but we must know one thing is it is not to be sufficient in to many the countries, and so to many the older adults will choose to work. And for other things, for example, it will let you more quickly to retire or other things. For example, if you are in the 40 to 20, maybe you will, because of the COVID-19, maybe you want more earlier to retire. So there are another research say that the employment levels decreased by 8% and 11% respectively for those aged 40 to 21 and the 22 to 70 years old. So we will find the older adult maybe also variable groups. And the last one is the healthy conditions. Of course, because the people with unhealthy, for example, you see my healthy is very bad, and if you have the chronicles or disabilities, actually you will suffer more healthy risks. So given them with the greater healthy risks, so it can put them in at the disadvantages in the job market. So there are also variable groups, and according to an empirical research said that actually the disabilities or the chronic illness in Canada, then will have the more concern about losing their job to others. And for another research from UK said actually the disabilities, they are more likely to work fewer hours and experience the higher level of the financial stress than their peers. So we will know if the healthy condition is also very important parameter for these problems. And then we will focus on other the heterogeneity impactors. The first is the occupations. Actually, of course, because the different industrials may be affected asymmetrically by COVID-19. For example, the server industrial, trade industrials, or others, maybe then will have the most serious affected by COVID-19. And so we will know different occupations maybe have the different probability to being able to switch to the remote work. We have the mentioned earlier. So if you are in the if your occupations is not suitable for remote workings, maybe you have the higher probability of the unemployment, or maybe you will reduce your working hours because of the COVID-19. So your incomes will be decreased. And the other things is the heterogeneity impactor of the regional differences. Of course, we know the COVID-19 affected the countries in asymmetric ways. For example, actually we know the Americans maybe have the more impacted because of COVID-19, but in some countries, for example, China or other things, there the economy will less affected by COVID-19. So this is of course, but also have the other research say that the heterogeneity impactor also exists in the different region of the country. For example, we have mentioned in China, the Hubei province maybe will be affected seriously than others. And actually in Russia, I wonder compared to the people from the Moscow and the St. Petersburg and the people from other regions, because we all know the Moscow and the St. Petersburg is very two bigger city in Russia, and they have the special status in Russia. So we can do the comparisons. And the last one is the income distributions. What is the income distributions? Actually, we have the two worries. The first way is to say that the people with lower income levels maybe will suffer from suffer more income losses because they have the more unstable job and less protected from the law and the unions, and maybe they will in a smaller company, so they will at the disadvantages. So the lower income level will suffer more. But other people say that this is not true because the richer will lose more incomes in COVID-19 because the government will transfer to the poor, but actually the rich can get it, and so we have the two worries. So this research will also explore the heterogeneous impact of the COVID-19 in the income distributions. In this research, we'll use the data from the LMS HSE. This is a very famous representative of Russia data, so we will use it. And I also constructed some variables. We can see the right tables. For example, the individual incomes and the per capita household income, and we will find the treated is if you are in the private sectors, the treated is 1. If you are in the public sectors, you are there is 0, and the terms variables is if is 1 if the debt belongs to the 2020, and it's 0 if the data belongs to the 2019. Of course, if we see that, we will find maybe we will use the difference in differences. Of course, I will use haters. Then we will focus others variables. For example, the female, of course, and the lower education. What is the lower education? If you don't receive the higher education or above, I will think you are a lower education. And the parent, this parent is say if you have children under the 18, maybe you are 1. If you don't have children under the 80s, you are the 0s. Why we must say the children under the 80s? Because actually, if you are you are up to the 80s, maybe you have the worker or other, or you are worker or studies. Actually, it will not the variable group because you will help the family at the incomes. So the parent, in here, the parent is the parent with the minor children, and the older adult is mean the age except the 50 years old. Of course, this is very ambiguous, but we can, for the last page, we will find actually if you are a 14 years old, actually you are in disadvantage in labor market. So why I will set the 50 years old is frontiers, and the other things is the unhealthy. If you are say your healthy is very bad and bad, then you are 1. If not, it's 0. And the chronic. If you have any chronic illness, you will get 1. If you don't have any in the chronic, you are the 0. And the disabled, if you say you have any disability, then you are 1. If you don't have any disability, you are 0. And the Moscow and St. Petersburg is if you are from the Moscow and the St. Petersburg cities, you are 1. If you are from the other regions, you are 0. And the last one is the nominal variables. And this is means the professional groups by the IACO 2028. We will induce the letters. And this research will use the two models. The first is the MLR. We can see the equations. We will use all the variables we mentioned earlier, and then we can do the MLR, and the writer is the result. we will find actually the income of the female are lower than the males, of course, and the income of the low education individuals, their income are lower than others. It also significantly, and the income of the, if you are come from the Moscow and St. Petersburg, you will have the higher income than others. But we will find the two intriguing variables is the parent. If you are parenters, actually you will have the less the per capita household incomes, but not significant in the individual incomes. Why? Because maybe you have the children. So the children will later your per capita household income decrease. So the parents will have the lower household income per capita than others. That is of course. And the others is the older adults. We will find the older adults will have the more individual income than others because they have the maybe they have the more working experience and maybe they are in the higher the level job, so then we'll have the more individual income than others. But we will find they don't have more income per capita household income than others. It can so I will set two different the dependent. The first is individual income. The second is per capita household incomes, because it can help us to more deeper to know these the questions. And then we will find we have the data from the 2019 and the 2020, and we will find the conditions have changed. So I will use the difference in differences, the model to solve these problems. And actually it divided in the PSM DID and the PSM, the quantile DIDs. I will most induce the difference in differences, and it means we will have the some two important variables. The first is treated, and the second is the hand. The treated is zero is one. It means you are in the private sectors. It's zero means you are in the public sectors, and the times is the one is the 2020. Zero is the 2019. So we can find the equations. And we also will use the PSMs because the PSM can letter the control group identified for each retreatment group using the observable characteristics of the retreatment groups. So we will use the two main covariants. For example, the female, low education, parent, older adult, and unhealthy chronic disabilities, and the most cost-unbeatable. But we will introduce later. Actually, there are also some subsamples, and we will use the two different ways. The first is the PSM DID. It can let us to know the average treatment effectors, and the second is the PSM QDID. It can help us to know the quantile treatment effectors. Actually, in these questions, I want to do some explanations why I will use the quantile DIDs, because in the first page, I see the income distributions. We want to know who will suffer more loss, the higher income group or the less income group. So the PSM quantile DID can help us to know quantile treatment effectors. It can help us to solve these questions. And then the right two page is the first is the PSMs. Actually, it will we will use some characteristics to find the retreatment for each control group. So we can see in the first page, and in the second page is the difference in differences. We will find the treatment effectors. So then I will show some of the results from the PSM DID and the PSM quantile DID. In this page is the average treatment effector from the PSM difference in differences, and we will find some of the very intriguing results. Firstly, we should focus on the right part. We will find the low education and the parent and the older adult. Then the average treatment effectors also are significant and the negative. It means actually they are the vulnerable groups, and we can also see the blue part. We will find the female also the significant negative, and the other regions are also the significant negative. So actually the females and the people come from the other regions, they are also the vulnerable group because their other incomes will less the others. So actually the COVID-19 will negative influence their incomes. Then there are the peers. And the last but not least, we should focus on the unhealthy is the gray part. Why this is very important things? Because actually we will find the unhealthy, chronic, and disabled. They are the average treatment factor. They are not significant, but we will find on the unhealthy subsamples, the impact on the individual incomes is significant, but the impact on per capita household income is not significant. So we can see if the individual is unhealthy, maybe their individual incomes will be affected by COVID-19, but their per capita household income will not affected by COVID-19. Why? Because maybe they will have the family supporter, so it will later the other family member can help them. And actually another things is the unhealthy actually is a very subjective things. You will see the better my healthy is very bad, and my healthy is bad or as bad, but actually it will not affect your incomes, because if you are in a job, your wage will not affected by the healthy conditions. So we will find the chronic and disabled will also not significant. Why? Because if you have a job, actually your healthy conditions maybe will not influence your incomes. Then we will pass the next page. In this page, we have the find to manage the occupations. Actually, the every occupation have the average treatment effectors, but we can only find the two occupation. Their the average treatment effectors is very significant negative. The first is technicians and associates professionals, and the third is the craft and the related trade workers. We will find the other ATE is very significant negative, and of course, so we will find if people who are in this occupation then will belong to the vulnerable group, because the other individual incomes and the per capita household income will be influenced by the COVID-19 strongly. And but in in the PSM difference in difference, actually we have to find to manage the variable group, but we didn't have the softer problems. It's the income distribution. So I will use the PSM quantile DID. So this is the quantile treatment effector from the PSM quantile difference in difference. We should focus on the rate part. We will find actually the significant part is focused on the 90%. What is 90%? It means your income has better than 90% people. So we will find, for example, the all samples and the females and the people come from the other regions, and the parent, the older adult, and the chronic. They are the QTE. It's also significant negative. It means actually we will say a conclusion simply is say maybe the people who have the more incomes will be several affected by COVID-19 because the significant focus on the 90% difference quantile DID. And we should focus on others is the unhealthy. We will find in unhealthy it have the different things. Why? Because it is significant at the 25%, 50%, and 75%. And we will find if you are more poor, you will be affected by COVID-19 mostly. It will, so this is different things. And then we will focus on the occupations. Actually there is also have the ambiguous impactors. The first things we should focus on the technicians and associate professions. We will find if you have the more income, then you will be affected seriously than others. But you are in the crafters and related trade workers. If you are more poor, you will be affected more seriously. So this is two different things. This is very intriguing, and then maybe we can do some the conclusions. Though the empirical results, we have draw some we have find to manage the variable group, and we will know the heterogeneous impact of the COVID-19 on income existing in the variable group and the occupations, regional differences, and the income distribution. For example, in the first variable group, who will be affected by COVID-19 is the females and the low education parents and the older adult. The household income has been negatively affected, but we will find the healthy conditions, whatever is unhealthy, chronic, disabled is not significant. Only the individual income of the unhealthy is significant affected, and even the family income not significant affected. And the second is the occupation. We also find two occupation. There are their individual and the household income has been negatively affected. The third is regional differences. Both the individual household incomes from the other regions will negatively affected. Compared to them, people come from Moscow and St. Petersburg. And the last one is the income distributions. Actually, we observe that most of them are significant at the 90%, 90%. So it means the high income groups may be more significant affected, but there is also heterogeneous. We have the mentioned earlier list. For example, the associate professional, higher income group are affected. But in the craft and related trade workers, its low income group will be affected. So this is the there is also existent heterogeneous. So it's actually this question is very intriguing. Last but not least, we must focus one thing. Is the research objective is the if you are in the public and or you are in the private sectors, it means we focus on the income children of the unemployed, but ignore the part of the unemployed. Why? Because we have to give a requisite that you are in the labor market and you have a job, and your job is the publicers on the private sectors. So we only focus on the employed, not the unemployed. And there's my research. My research is over, and then I give some the references. Maybe it can help you to more understand these questions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Wэньжуй, for so interesting presentations. Please, questions, comments, proposals. May I start? Could you return to the slide? It would be great to have numbers on your slide, but unfortunately,
This page.
no. I'd like a slide with first result of estimation when you estimate regressions before matching.
This page.
Yes, I see squares are very low. So could you return what is your dependent variable? I understand log of individual income, I guess nominal income, and in denominator per capita, what does it mean as income? Could you explain what is in denominator? You divide by...
You see what is the individual incomes and what is the per capita household income?
Household.
Yes, the household
It
income.
was the same household income or... you used individual level data, yes?
Yes. I used the individual level data, but actually we can construct either the family data, for example, the household incomes and the household size. Then we can get the household income per capita.
So it is the share of in logs of individual income in household income, yes. But I try to understand the sense of this variable. So, for example, if your household is very rich and maybe my individual income is also very high, but my household is great, maybe 10 members. In this case, my share is low, but my individual income is high. I try to understand, could you explain better why do you choose a bit unusual dependent variable or Maybe I don't understand. Maybe it's some kind of meal household income. Could you explain?
Of course. Actually, we will know actually this question, this research is focused on the impactors of the COVID-19 on income. So we must know why COVID-19 will later the individual income decrease and later the per capita household income decrease. So of course we all know it will later the individual income decrease because maybe the individual will decrease your working hours. But why? Well, if it affected the per capita household income, because maybe you actually are because of the family support. It means maybe you don't need to give up your job, but maybe your family member then will give up their job opportunity. For example, the female. So why I wonder to use the per capita household incomes, and actually the two dependent variables is very important. Why? Because the individual incomes only can see what is your individual incomes, but it don't know you are live in a rich family or you are live in the poor families, because if in a family only have the one people go to job, although the individual maybe have the very high incomes, but if you have the too many the children or your wife didn't go to the job, so maybe the per capita household income will less than others, and we can think a scenario that actually you have a job and your wife also have a job, but because of the COVID-19, the school shut down. So your wife choose to stay at home, give up their job to babysitter your children, and then his individual incomes will decrease, but maybe your individual income will not decrease. But actually, your per capita household incomes is both decrease. So I want to use the two different dependent to indicate the different things. The individual incomes is your wage, and the per capita household income can indicate your family in a good financial conditions or in a better financial condition.
Excuse me, now I understood. It's not the ratio, you use two dependent variables, yes?
Yes, I use the two
Now it's
dependent
clear.
variables.
Excuse me. Now it's clear. Okay, it makes sense. Do you take into account the different purchasing powers in different Russian regions, and the highest prices not even in Moscow and St. Pete, but in oil-rich regions and in northern regions? Do you take into account such a difference? For example, in Chukotka, the prices are very high. Of course, income, nominal income also very high, but it's necessary take into account this difference in purchasing powers. Do you take into account these regional differences?
Actually, I have tried to do these things. Actually, I want to use the triple difference, the difference in differences. But actually, we have find there are too many the sub simples, and this research is focused on the heterogeneous in some two different things. Actually, it also have the too many the variables, and if I want the focus on better, if I want also to explore the regional difference deeply, maybe it will have the too many in the jobbers, and it will later the research lose their concentrations. But of course, this is the work as of now. If actually I also have the try to divide the regionals, because why I will individual the Moscow, St. Petersburg, and the other regions, because this is the most simple ways, of course. And too many in the literature review also use these ways. If we didn't go deeper in the regional differences, but actually, of course, I can also use the too many I can consider. Of course, I can design more complicated model for the regional differences, but actually we should. I must think about one thing: is the subsamples, because we can find in the subsample is only in the in each the subsample, maybe only in the several thousands. If we take into account to every the regions, maybe in every the region the number of the subsample is very low. So why I will choose the Moscow and St. Petersburg, because the Moscow, St. Petersburg, the number of the observation is it is enough. If I want to know for example, defined regions, we must know do we have enough observations in these regions. Actually, I find in too many in the regions we don't have enough observations. So this is I will say this is the easily ways, but of course I will try to letter the things is more affected and have the more productively information. Thank you for your suggestion.
Thank you, but it's usual practice in Russia to take into account this difference. And let me repeat that Moscow and St. Pete are not the most rich regions. So-called Khanty-Mansiyski, in Russia, federal region is also the individual income, nominal individual income is higher in Khanty-Mansiyski region, is higher than, for example, in Moscow and St. Pete. And maybe we can't compare maybe other regions because there are very different regions. Some of such regions have very high nominal individual income. Okay, I understood your comments and respond. Thank you. Other question, is it possible to return to the results of your regression estimates?
This page?
The previous results with yes, why don't you include age of individuals in your models? H is squared. I guess it influence.
Yes, and actually I also all the variables is the dummy variables. I set the order adult because I think actually these things isn't maybe not the because I think maybe the heterogeneity also existent in age. Not we can't say the more aged, then your incomes will be decreased. Actually, we will find there maybe the people who in the 40 to the 60 age, maybe their individual incomes will higher than others, but maybe maybe the 20 the 24 to the 20 the 30, maybe the individual incomes will very high, will low, but maybe the per capita household income will very high. Why? Because maybe they don't have the children, they don't have the other things. So I think maybe age is not suitable variables because we can find all the variables. Actually, they are the variable group. So actually, I think maybe age is not a variable group, but the older adult is the variable group. So I set the older adult, and actually, it also can let me to more convenient do the PSM. Thank you.
But squares are very low. So, excuse me, could you repeat what was the difference, for example, between first and second model?
Yes, actually, I want to say the MLR is not the main model because I only want to use this model to know to expand some things. For example, the females and the individual income have some correlations, but actually I think maybe these questions should focus on the difference in differences because actually in this model we didn't consider the year. We didn't use the two factor the effector. So actually this model only can focus 1 year. For example, the first equation is the 2019 and the second equation is the 2020. Actually, we can't compare them, but it can let us to know there are existent correlations. Of course, only this. If we want to know the average retreatment or the quantile retreatment, we should focus on the PSM DID or the PSM quantile DID. So actually, I didn't use too many times in this model.
I see. The second part of your research, I think, more interesting. Could you demonstrate your results? I see conclusions. I see. Moscow S&P will not. I tried explain possible. Give possible explanation. Please, other questions or comments?
May I ask a question?
Yes, of course, Valentin, please.
John, could you please return to the slide with QTA from PSM?
This page?
QT.
Q.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it's interesting to know that we don't have a significant impact in the 10th quantile and on the last one, 9th. So, what do you think? Why is it so?
Actually, there are too many in the literature review indicator. Actually, the poll incomes will not be affected by COVID-19. Why? Because actually they have the gather to manage the transfer from the government. So we focus on the income, not the wage. Actually, if you lose your job, you can get the unemployed subsidy from the government, and for example, you are a mother, you can get the babysitter subsidy from the government. And to manage the country and in the Russia, actually the government will protect the people who under the poverty lines. So we will find the Q, DID, 10% health, maybe not significant. Actually, we in the first years in the page years, actually we have the too many in the research also have the conclusions. The richer will lose the more incomes in COVID-19 because the poor received government transfer. So I believe in here also the regions can be used.
Yeah, thank you. That sounds very reasonable.
Thank you for your question.
Please, other questions or comments? Chжan, could you make some policy implications from your research?
Say some of the improvement, other things.
And what improvement could you propose?
Actually, I consider the differences in differences, but actually I find it not significant because it must comply with the panel trader hypothesis. But if in the difference is not significant, actors in the triple difference, it also can't be the differences. So actually, I want to use the other things. For example, we can to know the more variables. For example, we all know the R squander is very low. I also noticed these questions. So maybe there also existent the other variables maybe will influence these questions. And actually, I have in these questions we have the hypothesis. It's the people who in the labor market, and he or she have a job, and this job is his or her job is in the private sectors, in the public sectors. And actually, I don't know it will broken the representative, the simple. And I also in the large page I see actually this research as of now ignore the factor of the unemployed, but actually I believe the unemployed maybe we should focus on, because actually maybe they will actually if you have a job, actually your incomes maybe will not influenced by the COVID-19, because too many job is affected several, and actually the company can't curtail everybody's incomes and for his man. So maybe we also in this research, maybe we can also for the foster things, maybe we can focus on the more deeper in the regional differences, and the secondary, maybe we can give attention to the part of the unemployed. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Please, other questions, comments?
Yeah, may I add a couple of comments and questions?
Sure.
Yeah, my microphone just stopped working again. I don't know why, so from the tablet. Wэньжuй, can you just the last time come back to the slide with the first regression results? I just would like to highlight
this result.
Yeah. So I believe that this is your thesis, and you are going to present it to commission like in May. Yeah? So I think that it would be better to somehow remove this slash between the logarithm of individual and household incomes, because it can confuse the commission, and as well change the numbers in the for each model, just not number one, number two model in the table, but rather the just mention the year, like this one is for 2019, this one is for 2020. It would be easier for the commission to understand this slide.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
And also, I believe you, since you used the propensity matching score, but you didn't mention or demonstrated the plot of the density for your propensity score matching. What do you think? Like, I just would like to know, like to visualize the region of common support between your distributions for like treated and not treated groups.
Maybe I can give other explanations. Actually, why I want to do the MLRs, because actually I want to use the child testers. Why I want to do the child testers? Because I want to say maybe in the 2019 and in the 2020, it existent in structured change. So we will say maybe the structured change due to the COVID-19. So then we can use the difference in difference to know the things. So actually, this model only let me can produce the child tester. So actually, I didn't focus on the model. I used this model, and the child tester said this model is not suitable. We should focus on the differences in differences model. So why I show this model firstly, because I want to say the model can't solve these problems. So we should focus on the PSM DID and the PSM quantile DID. This is my first demand. I don't know either suitable or not suitable. Thank you.
Yeah, but I just think that there could be some troubles for the results if the region of like common support, if your like density functions do not overlap enough, you will have to drop quite many observations, and so the consequence of this question is also like to your tables with further like DID estimations. Yeah, when you use different sum samples in your further slides, I think it would be nice there to add also the number of observations per each like estimation, because it is not clear how many what were the subsamples for each estimation in your further slides with PSM and difference in difference.
Okay, I understand, and I think this is a very it is helpful to me, and maybe I will improve these things. Thank you for your suggestion.
And also, like my last concern, maybe you have quite many dummy variables in your estimation, of course. And did you encounter any multicollinearity problems? For example, I think that such variables like I think you like health conditions, something like you had like a variable on health and chronic. Well, did you check any like covariance correlation between these variables, especially, or overall multicollinearity?
Actually, I didn't check them, but I will check them later. And of course, actually, I will say actually the most of the variable is the dummy variables. For expansion, the occupations. Why? Because actually we can find in the PSM DIDs. I said too many the simple. Actually, the dummy variables is used to do the simple. So this is why I will set too many in the dummy variable.
Okay, thank you for your answers.
Thank you for your suggestion. Thank you.
Please, other questions or comments? If we have no other questions or comments, thank you very much, Wэньжуй, for so interesting presentation. And we wish you good luck in your thesis defense.
Thank you.
Okay.